Guys, this is a special episode of Dive Into Diet with nutrition coach Lucas Schmidt. I'm getting ready to head upstairs where Lucas is doing a meal prepping nutrition course. So he's doing one of his classes here, and we're gonna pop in and kind of see what he's up to. We're gonna talk to him during the middle of the class. I'm not even sure they know that we're coming, so stay tuned. Here we go. We got a live audience right here behind the camera. And, thank you.
Clap track, a living clap track.
So what we want to do here, we're talking about meal prepping. So
Yes.
Lucas, why don't you tell the class kind of what to expect from this from this episode?
Yeah, so we're doing semi-Christmas themed. I personally, for disclosure, I was telling them earlier, I actually let loose at Christmas time and eat whatever I want. So not saying you have to do that, because I try to be pretty strict all year, excluding, but I like to make exceptions where it's important to sort of reward yourself and take a break every now and then. As long as you're not allergic to the thing you're eating, right? But nobody wants to eat something they're going to vomit after they eat it, so that's pretty easy to do, to avoid. But I'm not allergic to most anything food-wise, so at Christmas time I can eat whatever I want. But there are things I figured out we could do that are healthier. Staples at dessert at Christmas time, so like whipped cream. We're going to make our own whipped cream. You don't have to put sugar in your whipped cream. You don't have to buy Cool Whip, which has got all kinds of artificial garbage in it. You can make healthy, delicious, high fat, but I'm not afraid of fat. And if I'm going to overindulge on something, I'd rather have a little more fat than sugar.
Okay.
Sugar is just way worse. I believe is way worse for you. So we're going to make We're going to make whipping cream that we would use on pie, anything kind of dessert. We're also making a pecan pie that's technically sugar-free, excluding sugar that occurs naturally in like pecans. It has like 1 gram,
Using some of the alternative sweeteners.
We're going to use allulose to make caramel sauce. And then I changed the recipe because I can't just follow a baking recipe. I always have to alter it. So it's going to, typically pecan pie is vanilla and maple flavored. This is going to be, it's going to have those flavors in it, but we're going to put fresh orange zest and cinnamon in there too, because I think cinnamon and orange are great. Very Christmassy taste too. So and then we also, time permitting, I intend to make a version of hot chocolate that I like, because that's a very Christmassy kind of drink to have. Christmas morning, hot chocolate, healthy hot chocolate.
They're in for a treat though. And
that's what we're doing.
I've had this hot chocolate. It is incredible. Super incredible. So what we're doing here is we're taking something that is seemingly unhealthy, giving ourselves the freedom to splurge a little bit.
Splurge, yeah.
But moderately.
Moderately, yeah. So, the pecan pie is also gluten-free, by the way. I forgot to say that. So it's a keto-friendly pecan pie or diabetic-friendly pecan pie. And we're using allulose, which I've talked about before, but allulose is the only sugar substitute I know of that is a 1-to-1 substitution, meaning you can completely erase your sugar and replace it with allulose.
Okay.
Because it caramelizes, it toasts, it melts, it candies, it does all the things that sugar does without the glycemic, nuclear bomb that goes off in your body when you eat a bunch of sugar. So the body doesn't absorb the carbohydrates in allulose. We don't have the enzymes, so we can't break it down. So it just passes through us harmlessly generally. You'll absorb some calories from it, but it's not going to spike your blood sugar.
Super interesting. We'll start the show, the class. What are we doing?
So I have already made, because we have a 2-hour class today, and pies can be time consuming. So I pre-made the crust. I will send you the recipe, students, in an email. It's a very easy crust to make. So this is a combination of almond and coconut flour. Pie crusts are easy to do gluten-free these days. They're just really easy to do, because it's not like a bread that's got to be fluffy. It's kind of supposed to be hard, and So I'll send instructions on how to do this. Essentially, it's almond flour, coconut flour. I mixed an egg, melted some butter, added some powdered one of these sweeteners. You don't have to use allulose in it. Some vanilla extract and salt. That's it. Mash it up, mush it out into this pie tin, and that's all there is to it. I do want to show you a trick. I need some scissors. We got scissors. I didn't bring some.
Oh, there's.
Thank you so much. There is a little trick though. This is a tiny little. Some of you may know this. For you need to put parchment in the bottom of a pie tin. It just makes getting the pie out much easier. It's less likely to tear because it won't stick as badly. So if you're lining a baking tray with this, a lot of times people like trace it and all this business. No, you just get a square or rectangle about the that encompasses it. I learned this on a YouTube how-to on a recipe, and I thought it was cool. I never thought to do it. You fold your parchment into four, and you put the corner at the center, and then you just cut. And you will have I'm doing this very quickly, and then you have your perfectly sized liner for the pie.
Awesome.
Just drop it. There's one of them in there buried underneath that pie crust. But I just thought that was a neat trick that I learned. Kind of a nice how-to. And since we're filming today, it'll be on film for all of you folks that want to try that. So, and we're going to actually do something similar to this later with aluminum foil, and we're going to create this. Because when you bake a pie, since the crust is pre-baked before you fill it, the edges burn. Do this with aluminum foil, and it should be sized for the right size to cover the edges of the pie without covering the filling. So, little side trick. So, we gotta get going on the filling. So, some of you were here last 2 weeks ago when we made candied nuts. So this is gonna look very familiar, okay? So I have this is an Emerald air fryer, just because we don't have an oven here. We're gonna bake the pie in here, okay? I've done it once. The only difference is with one of these is because it's so tight, you've gotta watch the pie because it's gonna bake faster because it's in a tight space. The heat's gonna circulate. So whatever the bake time is, I'll put an oven bake time in the recipe. I won't put an air fry bake time because you're probably not gonna be using an air fryer. It's just kind of neat that you can. I thought that was cool. So I've got this heat up. So, I'm gonna do my favorite part, which is melting butter.
Grass-fed.
I love melting butter. Smells good.
It's grass-fed.
I use grass-fed butter, not required, but it's nice. Grass-fed butter, it's Irish butter, I think this is. Fun fact, it's more yellow than regular butter. You may have noticed that, it's pretty bright. If you bought like Land O'Lakes, it's kind of almost a white yellow. And that's because when cows eat only grass, they make more beta carotene in their milk, which is what makes carrots orange. So it's vitamins coming out from the grass they ate into your butter. So it's kind of cool. So, allulose. Who remembers what allulose is? Who's been here? It's okay if you don't. Allulose is like a sugar substitute.
I know that.
It's a natural extract from plants. So if I have an apple and somebody did a pie chart of how much sugar is in the apple, like what kind of sugar, there's different kinds of sugar, fructose, sucrose, all these things. Apple's probably 80% fructose, I'm just guessing, and some other kinds of sugar. Allulose is one of those other sugars, but it's like probably 1%, 0.5%. So the reason allulose is expensive to buy is because there's not much of it. So to get it, you've got to really use a lot of plants to get 1% of each serving to get enough. So it is pricey, but desserts are not usually all the time kind of thing, so it kind of balances out. So when you're making a caramel sauce, you use the same amount sugar to butter. So I'm gonna do a cup of each. Okay? So where are my... So I'm gonna slice up this Hero butter. This looks close to a cup, right? Pack it in there. And that's a cup of butter. You don't want to melt it. Right? You're going to melt it in the skillet, but you need it to melt with the sugar. Caramel is essentially butter and sugar melted together and toasted until it's brown. That's what caramel is. And you add cream to it, maybe. And with Irish butter, it's going to have a slightly stronger flavor in a good way. More butter. If you've had, who's had Irish butter before? It does have a different taste, slightly different taste. Does anybody want to try a little piece of butter?
I will.
Okay. Here's your cut. So the original recipe I'm basing this off of calls for the caramel sauce to be 3/4 cup each. I'm doing a cup. Because I made it and it was dry. Because I had too many pecans to caramel ratio. I want more caramel. So. And that's my thing with a lot of things. We've talked, those of you who've been here, if it says X amount of vanilla, double it. Now cinnamon, you gotta be careful. Cinnamon's very strong. I won't double it, but I'll go a fourth up. Or I go, eh.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So all I'm doing now is dissolving some butter and allulose. And if you want to come and see, if you want to come in so you can see it, this is kind of blocking your view. Allulose dissolves just like sugar does, and it melts.
Oh, that's really interesting.
It's really cool, and it smells really good.
Yeah,
So it's yep, it's just gonna like paste up and. Now I did notice the first time I did this, I did it with regular butter, not Irish, and it seemed to take just a touch longer for it to start caramelizing with the Irish. Which we learned that. Remember the first week I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, I hope this works. I don't have the other kind of butter. But it worked, and it smells heavenly. So I'm just stirring this up until it combines. In the meantime, I'm gonna multitask today. The other thing we're gonna do, I said, was hot chocolate. So, and that'll be ready faster, so we can. I'm using almond milk unsweetened as the base. You could use any. I don't typically like a traditional. My favorite hot chocolate is Italian hot chocolate. If you've never had it. You actually use a little cornstarch in Italian. We're not doing that today because I forgot the cornstarch. But it's perfectly fine. You don't have to do it. American style hot chocolate.
What does the cornstarch do?
So the cornstarch thickens it up, and it makes a very pleasant, silky texture, almost like you're drinking a melted chocolate bar, but not quite that thick. But it's very nice. So we're gonna make a healthier form of hot chocolate. So I like to use these. Regular milk has a lot of sugar in it, naturally. Even skim. Skim is about fat, not sugar.
Is that the sugar-free?
Sugar-free.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what we buy. Okay.
Yeah, this is the Aldi brand.
Yeah, no,
So, I'm not gonna use just almond milk, because we're gonna have some texture and thickness, so heavy cream is gonna go in there too. But it will be sugar-free. So, if I were making Italian hot chocolate, you would buy baker's chocolate, like pure, chop it up, melt it in the almond milk, stir it up, and then you'd add cocoa powder and your usual. But we're going to make kind of a modified version without cornstarch. Cornstarch in a small amount, cornstarch has carbs in it. It's corn. But a small amount, it's not going to kill you. It's diluted amongst the whole thing. So, but it's a great thickener. It will thicken things quick. And I'll probably include a recipe for Italian style in your email that I'll send, and then I'll tell you what we did today. So I'm just going to bring up this almond milk to a low simmer. And this is starting to smell. It should start to bubble up and caramelize. Now we're going to speed up the setting process by putting this in the freezer. It won't freeze to a block. It'll set quickly because you don't serve pie hot, like not pecan pie, because apple pie, yes, pecan pie will fall apart. So, which it will be delicious fall apart, but
it'll be a mess.
Right, and if you try to put whipped cream on it, it'll melt, and so we want to. Hopefully, it will set. That's why I pre-did the crust. Normally, I would show you every component, but I was just really worried that because I have to pre-bake the crust.
Okay.
So it's called a blind bake. If you ever watched the British baking show.
Oh yeah.
But blind bake your crust so it's not soggy. Now if anybody wants to see, this is the good part. This is the bubbly part. This is when you know it's working and it's going to start caramelizing. It also smells delightful. So, and allulose is the only sugar substitute I know of that does this. The other ones will just continue to stay melted and swerve around in there or burn. But this one is going to froth up. And we're gonna let it do this until this color is darkens a little bit. So I'm gonna turn up the heat to speed up this process. I'm impatient. But the other thing, time permitting, I want to do today is the other side item is often ice cream. I brought frozen bananas, so we're gonna do some banana ice cream. Now, that's not sugar-free. It's bananas, but it's still better for you than regular ice cream, which is delicious. But regular ice cream is frozen cream with cups and cups of sugar heaped into it, which is why it's so tasty. But I'm going to show you how to do banana ice cream. It's dairy-free. And it's when I show you, you're gonna be like, oh, that's it. So it's so silly easy. And it's just one of those things you might be surprised you never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody told me about it. I didn't come up with it myself. When I discovered it,
Oh, that smells so good.
I feel like you would just do it for this aroma.
yeah, it's like a candle. It's like a Yankee candle going in here.
Yeah, so nice.
Now you probably saw if you just were over here, it's starting to get dark. So when it starts to get dark, it takes a few minutes. You know, I've had this on heat for maybe 10, 15 minutes at this point. Once it starts to get dark, we add heavy cream. I made a note. This is what makes it very caramely. The heavy cream going in is what makes things really go up. That's normal. It's very hot, so it's reacting. It's gonna froth up on me.
Is it easy to burn, or
if you were, I haven't had a hard time. I'm an impatient cook, so if anybody's going to burn something, it would be me because I've turned something up. The main thing I've noticed is this: you just got to watch it and make sure you keep it moving. This is not something you like put on and go do laundry.
I did that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't go do laundry, but I cleaned up some dishes.
Yeah, burned.
Yeah, it kind of separated.
Yeah. So this is the bubbling stopped because that was cold. Perfectly fine. It will resume.
is heavy cream the same as heavy whipping cream?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think
That's
it's a
really
matter. I
nice.
think it's a matter of a thickener they add to it. It's not really a difference in the fat.
Okay.
I've tried to see that myself
So
too.
my little sister and I were at the store yesterday, like digging through stuff looking for heavy cream. We could only find heavy whipping.
Yeah, they've got.
Thanks everybody for watching this special episode of Dive Into Diet, where we did a sneak peek of one of Lucas's meal prepping classes. This is really where you get to see Lucas in his element, where he's talking to people, coaching them on behind the scenes kind of how to prep all these healthy foods. So hope you guys got a ton out of that. As always, this has been Dive Into Diet. I'm your host, Ben Rogers. We've been with the star of the show, Lucas Schmidt. As always, we'll see you guys next time.
Don't go away.